Welcome back to the deep dive. We are, as always, cutting through the noise in your source materials, pulling out those key nuggets of knowledge you need.
That's the goal.
And today, we are navigating a really, really high-stakes decision. I mean, this is a personal pivot point that sits right at the intersection of passion and, well, pragmatism.
Absolutely. The sources we're looking at today are all about the cognitive blind spots that could affect someone who's, thinking about leaving a long-term partner for someone new, someone intoxicating.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, and this is really an exercise in applied critical thinking. I mean, when your emotions are at their absolute peak, your judgment is usually at its worst.
Right.
So our mission here is to arm you with the cold, hard data about how these emotional choices actually play out, over the long term. We're digging into the mental shortcuts, the pitfalls that cause people to pick short-term intensity over long-term stability.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We're basically looking at why chasing that pure emotional high, that intense, often secret connection, so often leads to just profound regret a few years down the line.
It's selective vision.
Selective vision. How so?
Think of it this way. The brain, when it's under the influence of that new, passionate love, it applies this very, very powerful filter. It magnifies one glorious dimension. The sexual connection, the excitement, the newness.
To an insane degree.
To a spectacular degree, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it just blurs out the entire surrounding landscape of actual everyday life.
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You are doing important work.
The sources are so clear on this. The mistake is focusing only on the feeling and actively ignoring everything else required to build a life.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The sources we've got point to two main cognitive distortions, two thinking errors, really.
Right. And they're almost universally present when someone makes this kind of high-stakes move. If you can understand these two traps, you've got a much better shot at making a sustainable choice.
So what's the first one?
The first distortion is something we'll call the shadow of infidelity. And it's one of the most overlooked factors because it only really shows up after the decision has been made. It's a direct consequence of how the relationship started.
Okay, so let's dive into that. The sources are pretty firm here, saying that even if this new partner becomes the wife or the husband, the relationship is burdened from day one.
Burdened by the very act that created it. That's exactly right. The subconscious mind of the new partner holds on to one fundamental, unerasable piece of data.
Which is?
You were capable of betraying your previous partner and your family. This isn't just some theoretical insecurity. It's knowledge. It's based on hard evidence. And that knowledge completely changed the dynamic of the new relationship.
But hold on, doesn't she already know that? I mean, she was part of it, so why would she suddenly feel insecure once the roles are flipped and she's the main partner?
That is a fantastic question. It's a crucial distinction. When she was the mistress, she was living in a kind of fantasy bubble. The rules of reality, shared bills, messy kitchens, fidelity, they just didn't apply to her.
She got the best version of you.
The best, most focused, most exciting version. But once she moves into the role of the primary partner, reality sets in. And her need for security, it fundamentally changes. She might have agreed to the affair intellectually, but now she's living with the knowledge of your capacity for betrayal.
So what are the real-world consequences then, according to the sources? How does this shadow actually manifest itself, years later?
It shows up as specific, really challenging behaviors, and they're all rooted in hypervigilance.
Hypervigilance?
Yes. The sources describe it as an immediate and intense escalation of jealousy. Even if she was never a jealous person before, she is now. A late text, a business trip, even you just needing a quiet night to yourself. It's not seen as, my partner is busy.
It's seen as a sign.
It's interpreted as, he is being emotionally distant, and that is exactly how the last affair started.
Wow, so the fear is just constantly there, being amplified. The relationship itself contains the blueprint for its own destruction.
Precisely. She knows the capacity for betrayal exists, and now she's constantly monitoring you for the warning signs that she herself taught you. The key takeaway is that this fear becomes a huge constant issue. It makes genuine trust almost impossible to build.
That's a massive invisible weight. I mean, something few people would even consider in that initial euphoria.
Right.
But that brings us directly to the second distortion, which is maybe even more common. Ignoring the vast landscape of everyday life, everything beyond the passion.
This is the big one. This is where the aha moment happens for people who look back with regret. They realize they based a life-altering decision on maybe, 15% of the total relationship equation,
Hmm.
the excitement factor,
And they completely ignored the other 85%.
the parts that make up a real shared life, they confuse a successful secret meeting with a successful marriage.
It's the ultimate failure of prediction, then. Believing the intensity of the now is somehow a guarantee for satisfaction later.
And the sources, they lay out these really common thinking errors that people use to justify it.
What are those?
They're the phrases people tell themselves. Things like, our sexual chemistry is so overwhelming, I can forgive any other flaws. Or the big one, none of the boring details matter. What matters is that she makes life exciting and I feel alive again.
It's elevating one single aspect of the relationship to a point where nothing else is even visible.
Exactly. It's so dominant that the rest of life's foundation is just deemed irrelevant.
But reality is unrelenting. That intense new passion, it always fades. It might take 6 months, maybe a year or two, but it drops. And when that excitement fades, the vacuum gets filled by all those other dimensions you ignored.
And the sources give us a crucial checklist. There are 7 dimensions that suddenly become critical.
Okay, let's go through them. The first one is household. Sounds so mundane.
It does. But it's like 90% of living with someone. When you were dating secretly, she was always perfectly put together, focused only on you. Now you live together. How does she actually manage a home?
Does she value cleanliness, order, shared work?
Yeah. If one of you is a minimalist who needs order to think, and the other lives in, permanent chaotic messiness, that mismatch burns through the passion really, really fast. It stops being a cute quirk and becomes a daily source of deep resentment.
Okay, what's next? Children. This feels like a huge one.
It's immediate and intense if you have kids from the previous relationship. We're not talking about, polite weekend visits. We're talking about her stepping into a complex, demanding role. How does she really feel about your kids?
Is she ready to be a mother figure, especially to kids who might be grieving?
That requires a level of emotional maturity that is just completely unrelated to sexual passion. If her presence adds stress or conflict to the family, the relationship just isn't viable.
Number 3, support. Can she actually be your rock?
Right. Passion is easy when life is easy. But a partnership is tested when you lose your job or get sick. When you're at your lowest and you need practical help, not just excitement, does she step up?
We confuse excitement with support.
All the time. The sources make a great point about the difference between the support you get when you're just venting over drinks, which is easy, and the support you need when you're truly broken. You need a partner who can manage a crisis, not someone who just adds to it.
Number 4, finances. This is a classic.
And a foundational one.
Yeah.
How does she handle money? Did you only ever see her during expensive dinners, or have you seen her balance a budget? If you're a saver and she's a spender, that conflict becomes a daily, stressful battle.
It's a proxy for core values, really.
Absolutely. It determines whether you build a future together or just share a series of expensive moments.
Okay, 5th is family, a social circle. This is about seeing the whole person.
Yeah, what is her relationship like with her own family, her friends? Does she have a stable support system, or is her life just a constant stream of drama and conflict?
Because that pattern.
That pattern will eventually be directed at you. If every one of her past relationships ended in flames, it's not likely to magically stop with you. You are marrying her whole life, not just the fun part she shows you.
Number 6, leisure and life views. Deeper compatibility.
Yeah, what do you do when you're not being passionate? Do you share interests? What about big things like politics or religion? If you enjoy quiet nights in and she needs to be out socializing constantly, that difference becomes emotionally exhausting when you live together.
It has to sustain your shared free time, not
Right,
just
your passionate private time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And finally, number 7, and maybe the most crucial one, handling crises.
This is the ultimate stress test, and it's the one thing the new relationship has absolutely not been through. How does she react when the sky is genuinely falling? Not a bad day at work, but a catastrophe.
Job loss, illness, a family emergency.
Does she panic and become another problem you have to manage? Or does she step up, think clearly, and help solve the problem? You have to know if the person you're choosing for excitement is also the person you'd trust in the absolute worst moments of your life. And in that early phase, you have zero reliable data on that.
This is the core warning from the sources then. Making a life-altering decision based only on one-dimension passion. It pretty much guarantees regret when these 7 other areas surface.
Right. Once that passion factor drops from, say, 90% importance down to 10%, the relationship stands or falls on the 7 things you willfully ignored.
So the reality check then, what does it look like? The sources pull out 3 critical checks you have to make right now.
Number 1, the origin story creates inherent instability. The new partner will likely become jealous and insecure because she knows your capacity for infidelity. That shadow is a relationship tax you pay every single day.
Number 2, you have to accept that your relationship has not been tested.
Right. You've only seen her in ideal conditions. Her true reliability, her ability to be that rock for you, is a complete unknown.
And number 3,
Future conflicts over those core, everyday issues, money, chores, kids, support, they will become infinitely more significant and draining than they seem now. What looks like a charming quirk today will be an unbearable point of friction when the passion is gone.
so the ultimate advice from all this material is clear. It's actionable.
Yeah.
It is, do not make a decision based only on passion.
You have to honestly evaluate the relationship across all of these aspects of life. That pragmatic assessment is the only antidote to what the sources call an inevitable regret.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really a roadmap, a guide to critical thinking to avoid a potentially catastrophic personal decision.
It forces you to see the full, complex architecture that's required for a partnership to actually last.
Thank you, as always, for sharing your sources and letting us do this deep dive today.
Of course. And for you, the listener, this really raises an important question to think about. How often do we let the intoxicating intensity of a single exciting dimension, a person, a job, a lifestyle choice, blind us to the foundational strength or the weakness of all the other more mundane dimensions that are required for stability and long-term success? It's a balance we rarely check until it's much, much too late.
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you want to overcome betrayal, break toxic cycles, take control of your relationship choices, read How to Deal with a Love Triangle. The link is below the video.